So he wants to talk about something. So let's, I'll call the meeting to order. Let's go ahead and do a roll call real quick.
Hoy.
So I can do that if you'd like. We have Mayor Bennett is here. Councillor Anderson is joining us later. Councillor Hoy.
He's here.
Thank you. And Councillor Lewis.
He's here too.
Thank you.
Okay, what's going on, Justin?
Well, good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of council and our wonderful staff. Quick legislative update. It is holiday time, right? So a lot of things going on in a normal down period. But as everybody is aware, the governor's called a special session of the legislature for December 13th. So next Monday, and that's primarily going to focus, I say primarily, the intent of the special session is to focus on rental assistance, the distributions there, as well as eviction protections. As we all know, during these winter months, some difficult things going on. So the legislature is getting together. What that means is a lot of things could be on the table. I don't think so. It should be a one day in and out. There have been a few committees assigned, but as everybody's heard, there are some other things that could come into the table. We've heard about walkouts from Republicans. We've heard about drought relief. We've heard about some funding for illegal marijuana grows. So we'll just have to keep an eye on what is happening during that time frame. Other than that, other than the special session, we continue to prepare for the February short session. As everybody knows, most legislation has been introduced. We have yet to see that. We'll let the committee know as soon as we get that in our hands. That will probably be around mid-January. So we'll keep an eye on what kind of legislation we think is coming into that really compressed February special session, 35 days, as you guys know. Other than that, a lot of campaigns kicking into full drive. As everybody knows, the legislature cannot raise money during legislative sessions. So there's always a push at the end of the year and prior to a legislative session. And then we will go into normal campaign mode in 2022, right after that short session. So some other key dates, obviously the special session and legislative days in mid-January, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. And again, we'll have a better sense because we'll start to see some of the legislation that's been offered by those members. And the start of that short session is February 1st, Tuesday, right after the big Super Bowl weekend. So that's it for key dates. That's it for what's going on. In terms of the legislature, we've got quite an agenda, Mr. Mayor, in looking at some priorities that we have for 2022, as well as starting to plan for the session in 2023.
Okay. Hoy's now a member, so we're all gonna be listening carefully to all the information he sneaks out of the building to us, so we know what's going on. That'll help. Congratulations, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. It's been a whirlwind. How many hours it's been, I don't know. I've already had the caucus meeting. I had a caucus meeting 3 hours after I got appointed.
That's great. Those are a trip. Those are absolutely a trip. I don't think people have any idea what it's like, a room full of Democrats trying to get along. It's just something else. It's a fascinating event.
Well, I'm just really excited, Mr. Mayor, if I can, with Councillor Hoy's appointment there, to know that not only have we had, amazing response and efforts from our Salem delegation, but now with Councillor Hoy's background, the messaging within those caucus meetings and the true needs of Salem will really be represented in a way that I obviously don't have access to. So really looking forward to that. And Councillor, if there's anything we can do to make sure that we know that you will be messaging on behalf of the citizens of Salem, but anything else we can do, that would be wonderful. So looking forward to that.
Keep us posted.
Thank you.
Let me see if there's anything else on that item, the session update. Does anyone have anything on dates and activities that they're wondering about, concerned about?
Well,
I'm sorry, Jim, go ahead.
I have a couple questions. I guess it's actually a couple comments and a question. First of all, in reading the priorities, there are certain buzzwords that really get my attention. One is referred with streamlined licensing. The idea of the state streamlining anything is a great, great message as far as I'm concerned. Down at the bottom of the page, it talks about disposition of property, the flexible disposition, another key word. Boy, I wish we heard more of that from the state of Oregon. But I do have a couple of questions. The $1 million ask for the fountain at the Civic Center, when is the 50-year anniversary?
It's going to be, I think, celebrated this summer.
Okay,
It's
all right.
August,
All right.
yes, August of 2022. And
Okay.
if I could just step back as we're moving into the conversation about legislative priorities, I'd like to just take a quick minute and remember, because it's been quite a bit since we last got together. We had a brainstorming conversation together about those kinds of things you may wish to pursue for funding in the short session or in some future session. And as staff, we've been away, we've been thinking about what those things might be or how we would accomplish it. And so what I'm bringing back to you today is really just a high level approach to those priorities. But what I would hope that we could talk about today, you could talk about today, is what you're confident about bringing to the city council as a whole for a recommendation. As Justin was explaining, and we all remember, short sessions are different animals, and it may be challenging to have the kind of success we've become really accustomed to, I think, in the last couple of longer sessions. And so what I wanted to notice, and to Councilor Lewis's question, is we had some priorities that we were kicking around, and I just wanted to propose to you that if we're going to ask City Council to approve a priority of a 911 center, we think it's about $12 million to get a permanent facility. If we are going to ask for some support to that birthday party for the Civic Center, the anniversary of the Civic Center, we think it's about $1 million that we would need to do some restoration of the fountain and make Peace Plaza more inviting. And then there were other ideas that came up amongst your conversation that I reflected in sort of longer term, things that we probably really need to get more grounding on and build a case for in the short session, and really focus on more substantive impact in 2023. And again, this is all for your conversation and discussion.
Thank you.
For 2023, we have that behavioral health component that we really want to try to advocate for. That would be a mental health facility, a pilot mental health facility, or other mental health system improvements. We also heard an idea about a streetcar around the Capitol area and downtown. And what I'm showing here in reflecting back that idea is a rubber-tired, rubber-wheeled trolley that we've got pretty decent estimates for from previous work on that issue. And then the sheltering crisis is the larger sort of component that we would be pushing for 2023, more again on that mobile response and on the sobering and on some work with ODOT and other state-owned property to try to get a more trauma-informed response to some of the camping and the concerns in those areas. And then again, also working with them about having a more flexible, to your point, Councilor Lewis, approach to sharing property on a temporary basis or a permanent basis with the city for that purpose. So those are the ideas. And I tried again to put them in an order which made sense to staff, but I'm asking for your feedback and what you want to recommend to the council for the short session.
I'm going to, that's great. That is really helpful. And I think that gives us a real, I have one that I think has come up yesterday. And I want to share it. I think Chris and I were on a tour of our buildings. We began to hear about some new costs over at the Navigation Center. And so I've asked Gretchen to join us. She sent us an email last night about what these costs look like. And it's going to have a real impact on that project, which has already been through the process and is going to probably need some more help. So if I may, I'm going to just have Gretchen kind of bring us up to speed on that.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. The gap at the moment to prepare the building for operation is about 5.2 or 5.3 million. The more that we understand about the condition of the building, the deeper we get into it, and the more we prepare our planning for what that building needs to do. We have, and all of the issues in general with costs, with the inflation and supply chain and contractor issues. We just got yesterday the update from our architect and space planner, and that's what they're estimating is the current cost, and that does not include furniture and fixtures. So we're in need to get that funding clarified, ideally by February, so that we can move forward with the construction necessary. The work is necessary to prepare the building to meet the life safety requirements, to convert it to a building that you can do sheltering, and also to make the building appropriate, you know, with what we need for the behavioral health, the bug eradication, the ability to have spaces for both day and evening work so that we can do the work of navigation, which is unique and specific in our region.
So I guess the reason I'm dropping this on you is I'm really, I guess, kind of suggesting this may need to go to the top of the list, at least not for this 1 day or 5 day, although maybe it'll be worth a chance to talk to a few people and introduce the issue, but it's mainly to get it into that short session to see how that flies. I mean, this is one we'll be able to quantify. We have some familiarity with, I mean, pretty solid familiarity with the project. What's unfortunate is we're getting hit pretty hard with these various issues associated with it that are going to throw off primarily. We can go at it as a capital issue, but bottom on the other end of it, we're going to have some operation problems if we have to use our operations money for capital expenditures. I mean, it hits us along the timeline we've had for this facility. So I'm just asking you about putting that well toward the top of the list to get the council on board right away so we can start a process of figuring out how we're going to approach this with the legislature and then approaching them with the problem we've got.
I just want to make sure this new development is not going to affect in any way the facility being used for a warming shelter this winter. Okay.
It will not. We're signing the lease on that today, and we're able to activate it for warming because that's a limited duration. It's just to prepare it for the long-term sheltering and the long-term navigation level of service.
Okay, I gotta tell you, I mean, because I'm just hearing this now, a $5 million hit. That's
yeah. We heard it last night. So
yeah,
Mr. Mayor. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Lewis.
I'll hold off. I've got quite a bit to say.
I've just got a few questions while we've got Gretchen here. So since this funding came obviously from the state, and we look at some of the other municipalities around the state that also received funding, are they experiencing these similar type of problems, pretty much funding in the context of an implementation lag here? Or is it because we are trying to retrofit a property? Okay, I'm just trying to get a context when I talk to some of my colleagues from around the state.
Find out, I don't know.
yeah, we'll find out, but I think what you'll find, Justin, it's both. I mean, this is hitting us yesterday. I mean, we're getting the estimates, and what we're getting now are true numbers. not just estimates, but starting to look at some true numbers from engineers and really giving us a much more solid feel for what this is going to, what's happening to costs in this area. I would just guess other municipalities that got these funds are going to find a similar problem unless they did a purpose-built or unless they have a building that was in condition closer to what their programmatic needs are. This one has some real changes inside the building. It's just as you start costing this stuff out, it starts to move rapidly, and it's moving in an environment that's pretty dynamic as well, with the level of inflation, the ability of contractors to step up. It's just got a whole batch of supply chain issues. So I don't know. What do you think, Chris? This is in your bailiwick.
Well, yeah, I think this isn't like it's not like new work that needs to be performed, as I understand it. It's just that it's going to cost a lot more than was initially anticipated. And it's for all the reasons the mayor just talked about. And so I think that we have a solid argument in terms of inflation, supply chain and all those things. It's not because suddenly we realized we have to like rebuild this thing. It's not that at all. It's just that things are more expensive than we anticipated.
Yeah, there may be a couple of parts of the building that need some where we don't have to re-roof it. I guess is what I'm going to say is we thought at first we might have to re-roof the thing, that the roof was not going to hold up. It's good for about 5 years, but this is just getting it ready to do the program that we set out to do, and meeting that is challenging. So, and we're working closely now with Community Action Agency. They will come in with us to work on this, Jimmy and company, I think, as they begin to understand the implications of this as well. What do you think, Jim?
Well, one of the questions I was going to ask is the 911 center. Is that something from a community standpoint that we could put off for 2 years until the next short session to at least allow us to move some of the things that are proposed for 2023 up to 2022? Now it sounds like we've got one of those examples front and center. The priority for me is finishing the navigation center, which I thought we were going to be able to do. And I don't have $5 million to give you, so we're going to have to try and get it somewhere else.
It's certainly possible for us to put the finish of the navigation center. I don't know at what dollar value we would be putting it. My hope or expectation is that we would be able to fund the 5.2 to 5.3 and furnishings, fixtures, and equipment. So I would want to wait. My guess is it's probably a $6 million hole, but I would want to have a better sense of that before I sent it to City Council for approval. And then to your question about the 911 center, Justin, you should correct me, but I believe our work typically takes several sessions to move opinion and perspective about our need. So to your point, Councillor Lewis, we may very well push for navigation center with a priority and an urgency in the short session, and move conversation about the importance of a 911, but not go direct to the cash ask. Justin, do you want to reflect on that?
Sure. I think that's right. I also think that we have a responsibility to our citizens to always ask for what we need.
Exactly.
And how we find those pockets of money, or how we find that, which fits within the state's goals and objectives, is key. So I would say it's two-pronged. Yes, we could look at, and as we get more and more numbers from Gretchen, the thought is, what can we do right away?
Yeah.
What can we then put off until the 23 session? Not that we're not putting it off. We need the whole dollar amount, but
Yeah.
let's kind of strategically plan these timelines so we know, and we can get that information to the Salem delegation. But at the same time, I think it's always incumbent upon us
just
to
legislative.
obviously Greg didn't like it, but But we should, I
That was
mean,
not me,
again.
just so you know.
Is that the chief?
It's always incumbent upon us to make sure to let the legislature know what our true needs are for our community. So I think we run those parallel tracks at all times.
And I think that in order for this to occur, we need our council to say, let's go, because we're going to be going in here in a less than a week for really a first shot. I'd like to get this in front of the council, these issues, with or without absolute numbers, estimated numbers, in place, so we can start talking with the legislature about the need. So I really think we need to get this problem with the navigation center up and running as quickly as we can, as well as personally, I think the 911 center is very critical. And part of it is going to be just explaining the need. That's going to take a while, what that looks like.
We can certainly meet whatever timeline you collectively would like to achieve. An addition is possible for Monday evening, for example. I just want to make sure that I'm reflecting the recommendation of this committee to the council. So
we'll make it real clear when the time comes. I think we're still kind of working on where we're going. There are other issues. I know, Chris, do you have an issue? What else are you thinking of? I mean, you're the one that's going to be voting on this stuff. What are you, have you got some stuff you're taking in, or what do you need?
So, yes, I do have a couple of legislative concepts that I was able to get into the system that will directly impact the city. They haven't been published yet, but one of them relates to utilizing certain state property for micro shelter sites. And one is potentially, and there's actually a new wrinkle to this conversation, but a potential payment in lieu of taxes concept, maybe a partnership with the county, maybe not. I don't know yet. That part of the conversation just sort of started. And so that would give us more of a stable footing rather than having to go in on specific issues all the time. We would have more of maybe a reliable funding stream. So those are the two things I'm working on currently in my legislative capacity.
Would you want I think that, like you say, I think in lieu of taxes has a longer discussion needed just to kind of figure out. I mean, we're having pretty amazing success over the past several years on this without doing that. And I've been down that road. I'd love to have a more, as you know, I have some opinions on, I'd like to have a full discussion of this with the committee, but this issue of using state land, I think we ought to get in front of them as soon as we can, because I think we're not alone.
Sorry, but I've got to add something about the utilization of state land for the micro shelters. And I hope that what you're presenting has language in it that, and I'll use the word we've heard before today, streamlined. It's not that we can't utilize the property as we found in the site in West Salem, just that it would take 2 to 3 years to get it accomplished. It should be taking 2 to 3 minutes to get it accomplished. That's the crucial part.
That's the idea, Jim, behind my concept is that we would have an inventory available to us as needed.
Yeah, it sounds, I hope that would be on the list going to the council now. I mean, I think that's something that we want to get on our list of actual activities we're working on.
If I may,
I think you can absolutely go on the list. I just would not put much detail in it yet because it's still being fleshed out, but the concept, absolutely.
Yeah, use of state property for whatever.
It's on our list. I mean, it's at the very bottom of the first page. So
let's pull it up.
Just in terms of the ones that we definitely forward to council for.
Yeah, let's pull that up and put it on the council list.
But I agree that I think we're at the point where we should be sending a general list to council, sort of concepts, them an opportunity maybe to give us feedback, and then get more specific about it in the next time we have the opportunity. But because we've got this lag, we've got a 1 month lag now. city council meetings, at least coming up. I think it's important to at least get the concepts out there, and then we can always refine it down.
Yeah.
You can always refine it down, but I think it's good to get some general ideas out there so they can be wrapping their heads around that.
Well, I think if part of it, and I think Courtney's right, we need to make sure that we're not running way ahead of the council, asking staff to prepare for this, but these we see as issues we'd better be prepared for. And like you say, we're looking at a 1 month lag. Justin starts needing materials quicker, and this will give us a chance to kind of be at least moving along, heading into that February session.
I want to make one quick note on the navigation center. You all have worked so hard to secure the investment that's already been put into that. And I just want to note that we're also at work immediately trying to look for other funding sources to close our gap. We just made a significant request to Marion County yesterday for $4.5 million, for example. So we're going to work hard. And so perhaps this put on this list has the caveat of, if we can't find other sources. There's a strategy to that I'll leave to you, but I just wanted to assure you all, you've worked really hard on this, that we're looking for other sources.
Yeah, we alerted the feds
Yeah,
that we have a shortfall. We're going to need some help. It's a capital program that we'd like some help with, which is a little easier for them. So
yeah,
we're gonna chase this one real hard. We may well go to the community foundation. I mean, we've got some sources right now that are ones we haven't gone to everybody, but we need to get it in front and center, I think, for ourselves as well as the council.
For me, I just hope that we're really solid on this number, and this is the last time we have to revise and ask.
Yeah.
I think it's just, you know what I mean? Like, let's make sure
Yeah.
this is the good number.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think probably the problem with these numbers right now is we're in such a dynamic economy that with the kind of growth we're seeing in inflation that appears to be close to out of control, we don't know quite what it'll look like in 6 months to a year. We do know, though, that there are the Build Back Better and other things being looked at that may well have some funding resources. So we'll try real hard, I think, to get it as tight as we can, but it's going to be tricky with this economy the way it looks right now, I think. It'd be my guess. I don't know.
I have to agree with Councilor Hoy. You don't want to underestimate. And as a
No.
personal example, for someone who's trying to furnish a house, purchasing furniture is almost doubled in price, and it's 6 to 9 months out.
Yeah.
So you can order it today, but you won't be getting it until late next year.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes moving costs look a lot better when you're not having to buy stuff new. Take all your old junk with you. Okay, what else we got? Courtney, thank you. Thank you, Gretchen. What else do we have that you need, Courtney, from us?
Can't hear you.
Yep.
There we go.
It was good. I'd like to confirm a little bit about the priorities, if I may, and the timing of when you'd like to send a recommendation to the city council. What I'm hearing is the first priority is finish the navigation center, and we are thinking it's 6 million. We don't know exactly.
Yeah, it's a priority issue with an undetermined amount right now. Let's wait till we have a number. Let's not publish a number yet. Let's just say there appears to be a shortfall. We don't have to get real specific with the council. They'll understand.
Are you, Mayor Bennett, imagining that we go to the first
Monday.
meeting in January with the list? Or
No,
you want
I'm
to do
actually
the-
thinking if we can make it an addition to the agenda for Monday.
Yeah.
I'd like to get her done.
Yeah.
What do you think? Chris,
Yes.
you okay?
Absolutely, it needs to be on Monday. That's why I think we just keep a general list,
Yeah,
get it out there on Monday. We can always refine it down when we have more detail and come back with further recommendations. But I absolutely think we need to get it out on Monday.
yeah. This is our chance to give to give staff guidance, the lobbyist guidance on these broader issues as to where we want to see our time and money requests kind of focusing, but it gives us time to get this stuff ready. If we don't do it sooner and people start, well, the memo has to go from here to there and all that, it suddenly we're burning off 2 weeks screwing around. We need to get this ready to go.
Excellent. So the 4 priorities that I'm hearing, I'm not sure about one of them, but I know we're going to have the navigation center. I think we're going to list the 911.
Yeah.
I think we're going to list flexibility around disposition of property.
Yep.
Do you want to do anything with the Civic Center site or leave it off?
Oh, God, I don't know. You can put it
Always
on.
ask for,
Can't hurt
what's
anything.
that? Yeah, always ask for what we need.
Yeah, if that's what we need.
Yeah.
I
And the timing of that makes it make the list.
yeah, it's also one of those, it fits in with some of the other stuff we've been asking for over the years. I think it works.
Okay. So we'll have those 4 things. Do you want to lend support to the payment in lieu of issue, or do you want to leave that off?
I'd like to leave it, if you don't mind, Chris, if we could leave it off now, give Chris a chance. He's talking with the county, kind of get this a little more fleshed out.
Yeah, I
Unless
think
you
that's
need-
nope, I think it's wise to leave it off for now.
Okay,
Would you
And-
like me to leave the items on the list for 2023 or take those off for now and just focus on the top 4 that we've identified this morning?
why don't we, because we're looking at aiming this stuff at this short session, this, very short session and short session. Maybe that's for this upcoming immediate work. We'll be meeting again and we can do a broader. I feel bad that Tom isn't here to pitch his idea. I tell you, I'm all for a trolley. I think we just need to, I think it's going to be a more complex than just us wanting to do it. We're going to have to, I think what might be helpful is at our next meeting, dust off, if you'll recall, during Janet Taylor's term as mayor, one of them, we did this and we did a pilot. And I think we ought to see what happened. Why didn't that go from pilot to permanent? Was it not used? What were the issues around that? And then how could we kind of work around it, give Tom a chance to look at it and all of us a chance to look at it, see how we would like to proceed and maybe figure out a way to make contact with Chariots. And that's just got to be, I think, it's my opinion, see what other people think, but it needs to be a cooperative activity. What else we got? Justin, anything you're hearing we need to take a position on, that's a killer for us or good for us?
Not right now, not off top of mind.
We're not seeing a list of policy items coming out that any of our staff need to.
We don't have that yet, but what I do have on your agenda is the policy statements, and these are those tried and true ways we can push back on some basic stuff that's recurring that we see all the time. I just want to let you know that we didn't make any changes to those statements from the last session, and we would be seeking your recommendation to take those to council as well, so that we could be in position to start in January when we start to see the legislation moving forward.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Well, I did have one comment if I could. It's on page 2 about the redevelopment of abandoned state-owned property. If there was some way to put in that language, one of my key buzzwords like flexible disposition or something like that. It's not just the redevelopment that's important, but it's the speed in which we can do it.
What, this Yaquina project doesn't give you a lot of faith in how fast the state can do business?
Well, no, I'm thinking more of the old state hospital property.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that took a while.
It's taking a while, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I think we could just adjust the words in the second line so that it would say that encourages the speed in redevelopment of. Is that okay with you? Great.
Chris, anything on those?
Jim, if you haven't been by the state hospital recently, it doesn't look the same. There's
I know.
hundreds of apartments.
Yeah, those apartments are starting. I mean,
Yeah.
we're closing when, Chris? When's that close?
I don't know exactly, but it's
Next
coming up
day,
soon.
it's like in the next few days, we're gonna actually have that. And
Oh, and Uquina Hall
yeah.
Hall closes Monday,
Monday,
I
okay.
believe.
And remember,
That
as
is
you get older,
that's a milestone there.
yeah, as you get older, you get less and less patient. So forgive me.
You stop living dog years. You start living old person years. It's a whole different timeline. Okay. Anything, Chris? Jim?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good.
You okay? And Courtney, do you feel like you have enough guidance?
Yes, I need to type as quickly as I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. And it'll just be an addition.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Justin,
my-
sorry.
My intent is really just to summarize those 4 issues with a sentence and put that in the body and then attach the policy statements with that one addition that you've suggested, Counselor Lewis.
Good. Justin, anything else you need from us?
No, Mr. Mayor, I would just say, I will work with my colleagues to see about some of this funding in and around,
Yeah,
in and around that. I would ask our council/representative to do the same with his colleagues within the caucus to see if they're experiencing some of those implementation lag, funding issues, and/or facilities issues that would be good intel for us to have going into February of 22.
good. Okay, very good. Well, is there any further business then? Okay, then we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much, everyone.
everyone.